figure out what the hell's wrong with themselves. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like, what is that? It don't make no sense. That was it kind of for me. I want to figure out how to fix myself. It's fascinating. But I almost feel like it sounds in a sense though that like that they're a perfect duo, Michael
Right.
Arrington and Michael Myers. Like
Right.
it sounds like unless other times when Michael Myers bleeds over into Michael Arrington and you're like, damn, I wish I could keep that separate.
Yeah, that's times of like, when I'm physically challenged,
Yeah.
or somebody crosses the line verbally with me,
Yep. Yep.
where they bleed over, and it's almost Bruce Banner Incredible Hulk.
Yep.
You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Like, once Bruce Banner was able to control Hulk, see how more effective he was. And
100. That's the integration of the shadow. Exactly what you just said.
exactly. So, and like I said, so like that's what got me into like because for me, there's the duality of the metaphors of life bleed over into therapy, because
Mm-hmm.
you could take a comic character like Incredible Hulk and really break down what bipolar schizophrenia looks like. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? Just in the character, how the character just navigates life as those two people, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, and I know you do a real good job of exercising that skill set when talking about different things and different topics, and I'm sure it resonates well with children,
Yeah.
because you just got to make it make sense for them.
Yeah. And I think that's why things like Marvel, you know what I mean? Like Harry Potter, there's a reason these things resonate with us. And to an extent where it's like let's just take the Marvel series, right? Some of the most like technologically advanced films are about people running around and flying in capes and like stuff that it's kind of like that doesn't make any sense, but it does
But it
because there's
does.
something within these characters
Right.
that we're understanding and relating with, you know what I mean? Like that duality within ourselves. Um, how you can be a force for good, but you also have this like seated darkness within you. There's
Right.
something about that's inherently human that resonates globally, and that's why they can justify making these multi-million dollar, franchises about this. So I think that's real interesting that you mentioned the Hulk, because even Batman, right?
Right.
I resonated with Batman and the Joker, that duality for the longest time. I guess it
Right.
boils back to right, like the id, the Joker being the id, and Batman being the super ego.
Right.
And Batman's biggest flaw is that he wouldn't kill the Joker because he was too much on a high horse, right? Like anytime he really got the chance in the comics to kill the Joker,
Never
he
did.
wouldn't do it because
Right.
he would just put him in Arkham Asylum and he would get out again. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it goes to show that you're both, it's like two different extremes. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, I'm kind of like, if that middle ground would have been like, if you catch him, kill him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah, find that middle ground, that happy middle. Like they both were extremists in their own right. And I think
Yeah, they
that's
both. I don't think they could exist without one another, though. So
exactly.
they needed each other.
That yin and yang, man. It's that yin and
Right.
yang. And I think that's something cross-culturally that we all relate with as humans, no matter, where you're from, where you were born. There's something about that duality of being human that we relate with, and trying to find that third space, right? Trying to walk that fine line in between the white and the black in the
Right.
circle. You're trying to stay on the middle, like in the
Right.
yin and yang, there's a bit of the white circle in the black swath, right? And
Right.
there's a bit of the black in the white one. And that's kind of a sign of that represents like this integration. You
Right.
got to have a little bit of the lightness in the dark and a little bit of darkness in the light.
Exactly.
And I think, yeah, man, so it's almost like, right, like with Michael Arrington, in a sense, might need Michael Myers, right? And vice versa, right? You need to be able to like take a sit, sit back, chill, but it's a constant balance between the two.
Right. I remember being in Israel, man, and somebody telling me about breaking down the definition of the Star of David, right? And so it was a one triangle faced upward, which was signified 180 degrees of positivity. And then there was a downward triangle that intersect, which was 180 degrees of negativity, thus making 360 degrees. And that was life, right?
Yeah,
and
that's wild.
You know what I mean? So you kind of need that darkness to be able to, because if you from a religious perspective, if you look at God, that's God. Like for as all free, willing, and love he is, he will strike down thee if necessary. You know what I mean? So I think you need like 100% of positivity is just not natural for humans.
Yeah. And arguably that is exactly what you just said, right? Is kind of like a fundamental belief that religious structures are built upon in a sense, right? Like exactly what you just said about the Star of David.
Right.
That's what the yin and yang represents.
And
right. Those are like two completely different cultures. They were not coming up together. You know what I mean? So kind of coming up separately, divorced from each other, coming to these same conclusions.
Right.
It represents, these higher, these deeper truths, right? Like these meta truths that go beyond us and the color of our skin and the country we were born within.
Right.
You know what I mean? That in a sense is like this underlying current that I think, tends to kind of cross, all bounds. And I think hip hop taps into that.
Yeah. Hip hop does it better than most things. I think hip hop and maybe sports probably do it better than anything else as far as integration and realization as well. You can always,
sports is a great point.
You can always tap into something metaphorically sports wise that makes sense in life.
100%. And I think it's because it's, Piaget talked a lot about kids and playing games and how that was kind of like learning this reciprocal exchange. And that's what societies are built upon, right? Because when you play a game, there's competition, right? But there's also cooperation. You need a certain, like you're coming to the field knowing what the rules are, right? It's not like you're not bringing a basketball to a football field. It's like, we know these are the set rules as we play, so there's a high level of cooperation going on, even though it's in the guise of this competitiveness. And similarly, right, trying to find that balance and how that can push us to some of the greatest achievements that, is that sense of, that competitive nature, but all within the realm of building towards the same thing.
Right. And then also like in basketball, there's a certain synchronicity that comes with 5 guys on a string defensively, right? All having to communicate, right? And the level of teamwork and camaraderie and things. These are lessons you can teach children early of how to get along with others, man, how to wait your turn, how to lift up, your comrade and then how to deal with structure and how to deal with lessons and hard work, and sometimes you won't always make every shot, and so how to deal with that. These are all self-regulation techniques too, right? And
100%.
so that's I think the beauty of people like us is that we can pick these metaphors from these real life situations and make it applicable for children or for people, period. So it makes sense to them, because that's what I see with kids, even in education. Like they don't understand why they have to do what they have to do. Right. And so because 100%. Everything, if I had it my way, man, all high schools would be vocational ed. Let's get them going. Let's get them college ready, get them work ready, either or, you know what I'm saying? I think now they're just taking classes and following these theoretical scripts that really don't make sense for what they do. Right. Like 100%. Nobody's teaching them how to be an entrepreneur. Right.
100%.
30% of these kids will probably be entrepreneurs at some point, or at least should be. Right. And so that's how you really make wealth, not necessarily getting a job. It's really creating these private things that you do on your own, and it's about the passion of it. That's what success is for me. Amen. I can do what I want to do and make a great deal of money doing what I love to do, and it's not work. You know what
Absolutely. I mean? So absolutely.
That's what we need to be teaching kids, man. You want a straight A student or you want a happy student? Right? You'd be fortunate to get both.
Yeah. Yeah, the education system is like tremendously antiquated, and there's a lot of movement in that space of trying to change it, but I don't know. I don't see
it's heavy, man. One of the reasons why I went to get my doctorate in education and social justice is to be that voice in the room that makes that change, because I just don't think the people that are there now really get it, and not to any fault of their own. It's just the further you are removed from a situation, the less likely you are to tap into what's current.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Lastly, man, I know musically, you do your thing as an artist, man. Where's some of the platforms that people can reach and get your stuff and check you out, man. I think you're a highly intelligent brother, man. And I appreciate you just giving your time, man, and your expertise on different things, man. So I appreciate that. But where can people find you at?
I appreciate you, man. It's an honor to be doing this with you. I would love to collab, man. You got some fucking bars yourself.
I appreciate it, man. I actually got an idea I want to run past you, man.
I would love to, man. I would love, yeah. So yeah, you guys can find me at I go by Phoenix, spelled like a fiend though, right? Like FIENYX. Kind of for me, when I first came up with the name, it was symbolic of my struggles with addiction and that perpetual cycle of rising from the ashes and then crashing and burning again, and that cyclical nature of life, right? There's kind of the snake eating its tail, the Ouroboros, which funny enough is exactly what we were just talking about, right?
Right.
So yeah, check me out on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, all streaming platforms. Yeah, I'm hoping to put together an album by the end of this year. I've been working on some stuff, keeping it on, tucked. But yeah, it's tough, man, with the 9 to 5 and
right.
Working, making music all day it's tough to find the time or even the energy.
Right.
But at the end of the day, man, I'll always be making music because first and foremost, it's a form of self-care for me, whether I ever drop it or not,
Well, I will say this, man, as advice for any aspiring artist, man, put that shit out. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't put it out, the world will never hear it, man. You know what I'm saying? And you never know who it resonates to. You know what I'm saying? And like, you might be the reason why somebody stops doing drugs or stops doing, whatever. I stress that because we are in a time where it's easier to put out music than it was, say, 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So I urge you, man, somebody is as talented and as intelligent as you are, to put that shit out regardless of whatever, because you can sit and critique your own shit till the cows come home.
Yeah.
And so just put it out, man, and let the people tell you how good it is or how whack it is. You know what I'm saying? And why have the freshest shit on your hard drive if nobody hears it? You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that. That is a very valid point.
And whatever help you need from me, man, let me know, man. I've been doing this some 25 years, man. So it's not too much I don't know. And if I don't know it, I can plug you in with somebody that does.
Boom. No, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I appreciate it, man. My man, JC Hall, BU Podcast. I'll be right back.
You are listening to the BU Podcast with Michael Arrington.
Yeah, that's right. We're back. BU Podcast, man. Shout out to my boy, JC Hall, for coming through, man. Hip-hop aficionado, wordsmith, hip-hop therapist, doing good work over there in New York, man, the South Bronx. Really proud of the things he's doing, really proud of the legacy he's carrying on for Dr. Tyson. I hope you enjoyed that conversation we had. I think it's really, really powerful, man. The people that are kind of doing this work really kind of get the shine that they deserve. A lot of this podcast is really about shining light to the real heroes out there that are doing the work, man, helping the youth, helping people, man, helping disenfranchised communities. I think it's very, very important that they get their shine as well. People like JC, man, people like my girl Brittany Williams, and the other guests that come, Jessica Lascano, Jordan Donnell, you know what I'm saying? Like, doing the real work, helping people, man, be better. One of the things that you'll find as you get older, that I'm noticing as I get older, is the level of ignorance that we keep ourselves under because of things that we don't want to encounter or things that we don't want to face, right? Like, we don't want to face our worst demons, right? Or the things that we suffered through in childhood, the loss that we've encountered in this lifetime. If you grew up when I grew up, the time I grew up, man, in the 80s and 90s, man, I lost a lot of friends to drive-bys and the crack era and going to jail, and, those things are traumatic, man. If you grew up in South Central or Inglewood or Watts, East LA, Boyle Heights, Lincoln Heights, Southgate, Linwood, Hawthorne, those types of cities, you know, south side of Chicago,